Welcome to Lesson 1C. I want to remind you that you need to print your worksheet so that you have it beside you because several parts you need to do before watching the video. As we get started, it does say at the top, in the next class you will need to be able to read voting results presented in a table and calculate percentages. I'll also remind you that I've asked you to start a glossary or flashcards or sticky notes, some way that you're going to have quick access to the vocabulary, to memorize them, to manipulate, use, be very familiar with them. Right here at the title, you see plurality versus majority. In some approaches to making decisions, it is important to determine if over half of a group holds a certain preference. Decisions that require at least half of the vote to win are said to require an absolute majority. So I would make sure you're underlining the word and that you're also making note of the words that are defining it or describing it, and that you even add your own words or thoughts, like a time when you've experienced a majority voting. While decisions where the option earning the most votes win, even if that amount is less than half, those are said to be a plurality. And so I would make sure that I'm underlining, highlighting, like I said earlier, somehow retaining these vocabulary words. This is the time to hit pause. You do question 1 by yourself, all parts of it, and then come back and watch the video. So on question 1, suppose you and your classmates are deciding what type of food to eat at the class party. You have each given your top choices in the table below, and anytime you get a table, make sure you start to analyze what it's saying, like the type of food, the number of votes, and then even to analyze it, the tacos, they got 6 votes, etc. Then start to answer the questions like on part A, how many people? And remember, in this class, we're trying to be very accurate, so underlining, highlighting, noting what the question's asking, and then going to answer it and double checking that are very important skills. How many people are in the class? Well, if these are the number of votes, then those are also the number of voters, so that would be the number of people. And then it says if each student voted. So 6 plus 2 is 8, 11 and 12, that's 23. And then 5 more, let's add those up. So we got us a 13, a 16. So looks like we have 36, but always practice good units, 36 people in this class. Part B, which food will be served at the party if the decision is based on a plurality model. Back on the decisions, or back on the definitions, plurality means whichever one got the most votes. And so the one that got the most votes is pizza. So pizza will be served at your party. What percentage of your class, what percentage of the entire class voted for pizza? Then they want us to round our answers to a tenth. So percentage being part over whole. And when I divide or reduce, that's actually equal to a third. But when I divide, I'm going to get 0.3s. And to round to the nearest tenth, here's the tenth value. The 3 tells me to leave it alone. So I'm still about 0. Oops, wait a minute. That would be tenth of the decimal. They want us to go to percent, and percent means we multiply by 100. So we're at 33.33333. Now that tenth, the hundredths tells my tenths to stay alone, so we're about at 33.3%. Part D is asking us if there is a particular food that received the majority. So to practice majority, majority is over 50, over half, over 50%. And so majority, if the largest choice received 33%, then we have to say no. There is not a choice that received the majority. But this is also a good time to practice your writing principles. In your 1332 class, you will have resources in the back or at the bottom of your in-class student pages in MyMathLab. The very last one is writing principles. If you haven't already looked at it, you should, because as we go through these worksheets, we'll be required to write more and incomplete answers. And so this does not ask for a sentence, so we'll stop at the no. but just a good place to remind you that something like a sentence of pizza received the most votes and the largest percentage, but less than half of the class voted for pizza. So we're going to practice that more. Right now, I just mentioned it. Part E. Since there is no absolute majority, how do you think the food choice for the party should be made? Well, this is up to you. Put a couple of thoughts. What do you think? A couple of thoughts could be that they could have two foods. Since you have two that are at the top, you have hamburgers and pizza that are very close together, so it could be that there are two foods at the party. It could be that you take hamburgers and pizza and have another election on just those two foods to see if one of them becomes a majority. Multiple things you can write down something, and then go ahead and complete question number 2 and 3, and then come back to the video. Now we're looking at question 2. Earlier I mentioned that there are resources in the back of your 1332 My Math Lab in-class student packet pages. There is another resource back in those pages titled Ratios and Fractions. If you haven't looked at that one, this would be a good time to go look at that before you do question 2 and 3, or if you need more help on question 2 and 3 after we've completed working them together. Question 2 starts out, suppose there was a vote at a local school to determine a new logo. You were told 7% of the students wanted to keep the logo, and that 7% represents 1,400 students. We want to determine the total number of students. I just made the video for the 1332 class, and we did it a different way than this. This is an additional thought on how to take care of this problem. So you're going to have multiple ways, multiple resources. The way we're going to handle this one is we're going to write a rate showing the number of students that make up the 7% total number of the students at the school. Remember, 7% just represents 1,400 students, not 100% of the students. So when they ask us to write a rate of the students to the percentage, we did it. Here's the rate as students, written as students to percent. Part B says simplify the rate so that it is a unit rate. If you're unfamiliar with unit rate, it just means when we get done, there needs to be a 1 in the denominator. Write a complete sentence, here we go, complete sentence describing how the unit rate relates to the population of the school. So if we have 1,407, a quick division, no moving decimals of the 7%, just a straight 1,400 divided by 7, we can reduce this fraction to a unit rate of 200 students represent 1% of the school. If that is the case, then we can write a sentence something along the lines like 1% of the student population, and you can use multiple choices of words here, but just a description. Population, 1% of the student population is made up of 200 students. We just want to make this real, that this is not the total amount of students, it is only 1%, because then that should help make Part C a bit more clear. Because Part C says use that unit rate, this one that has the 1 in the denominator, to determine the total number of students at the school. You have also done some work with dimensional analysis. We will do more, but if I have 200 students, and I know that that represents 1% of the school, I can multiply it by 100%, and our percentages reduce, eliminate, cancel. A lot of those words aren't good or acceptable, but you need to put it in some words where you know the percentage units are gone, student unit is left, and 200 times 100 is 2 with a couple of zeros, a couple of more zeros. So the total population at this school will be 2,000 students. If you haven't already tried to complete this chart on question 3, go ahead and hit pause, complete the whole chart, and come back. Question 3 says determine the total number of people in the following situations. The first row has been done for us. This is giving us more practice on what we did on question 2. It's always good to analyze the row we're given. If I reduce 180 by 90, I get 2 over 1, now at a unit rate, times the 100%. My percentages are gone, and I have people. So 2 times 100 gets the 200 people. We will do something similar on all of these. I'm going to do the 300 divided by 15. We're going to get 20 people to 1%. And when I multiply that by 100%, I'm going to get 2,000 people, which is 2,000. One more, well, actually 2 more. 20 divided by the 2 gives us 10 people for every 1%. When I multiply that times 100% to get the whole population, I'm going to get a 1, a 0, and a 0, which is 1,000 people. And finally, 105,000 divided by 70 is 1,500 people per every 1%. When I multiply that times the 1,000, that's going to, times the 100, I get the 1,500 to begin with, 2 more zeros, and that is 150,000 people. Hit pause, go do 4 and 5, and then come back and watch the video. But to start question 4, this is some practice, again, getting us ready for the lesson in your 1332 class. It asks us for each of the following, select all combinations of percentages that add up to over 50%. So I'm going to take these one at a time, like the 30 and the 45. And 30% and 45% add up to be more than 50. I'm going to keep going with my pattern and use 30 and 7. 30 plus 7 is not over 30, or excuse me, over 50. So now I'm done with the 30, kind of. And now I'm going to look at the next remaining, like 40 and 7, 45 and 7. When I add 45 to 7, I get 52. So that definitely is over 50. So I've taken them, none of them one at a time are over 50, plus it asked us to add them. When I took them 2 at a time, I got a couple of combinations. And now let's see if we can add them all up, 30, 45, and 7. And 30, 45, and 7, well, that'll be 75 plus 7 more. We're definitely over 50. So we have 3 combinations. Let's reread the directions. Of all the combinations of the percentages that add up to over 50, we have 1, 2, 3 combinations. Let's do this again on part B. I'm going to take them one at a time. 15 is not more, 12. Okay, they wanted more than that anyway. If I take them 2 at a time, that's 15 and 12, that's 27. Nope. 15 and 13, that's 28. Nope. And 15 and 14, that's 29. Nope. So when I take the second number, the 12, it doesn't work with the 13, it doesn't work with the 14. So now I got to take them 3 at a time. So when I take these first 3, I get 15, 12, and 13. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 40. Nope. So let me take 15, 12, and 14. 15, 12, 14, 9, 10, 11, 14. Nope. Let me take the last 3. 12, 13, 14. Oop, that was it. 7, 8, 9, 39. Nope. So 1 at a time doesn't work. 2 at a time doesn't work. 3 at a time doesn't work. Our only remaining hope is that if we take all 4 of them, 7 and 7 is 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have a winner. So the only combination on B would be to take them all. And we'll finish up with number 5, which says circle the 3 vote counts that together make up over half of the total votes. Well, first I need to know what are the total votes. So I have 5 votes and 6 votes, that's 11. 7 and 12 is 19, and 5 more, so 14, 15, 1, 2, 3. So I have 35 votes. Over half. 35 divided by 2 is 17.5. So I need 18 as my magic number to get over half. And we're talking about votes, so we're not talking about money to be able to put it down into cents. So we've got to have an exact 18. There are going to be many, many solutions to this problem. They want 3. So let's start with the first 3. 5 and 6 is 11 plus 7. So 5, 6, 7, that's one of the winners. If we're looking at over 18 and we've got to make 3 vote counts, we're going to be able to do a lot. Here are 2 in this one. 6 and 7 are 13, and 5 more is 18. We can use the last 3. 7 and 12 is 19, plus the 5 that I just scribbled out. There's 24. So it doesn't say how many to do. We have 3. I think we have plenty. You've finished another lesson. Go check your calendar to see if this is all you need to turn in for this Wednesday. And remember, you're going to upload these into D2L as a PDF, as a scan, and you're going to upload it into our assignments. Again, I look forward to having you this semester and move on to another lesson.